Next stitch we're going to do is the split stitch. I'm going to start on the left side. I have all six strands of floss. I'm going to come up to the front, and then I'm going to go down and make just one regular stitch. And then when I come back up, I am going to split that first stitch. So I'm trying to get halfway in between the length of the stitch, but also trying to come up in the middle of the threads. So then I go back down again and come up through the middle of the previous stitch. And then down and back up through the middle of the previous stitch. So this stitch is really similar to a back stitch. One thing it does is gives it a little more depth, a little more dimension than a back stitch. It's depending on the kind of floss you use and how thick and wide you make your stitches. It can look like, sometimes it'll end up looking a little bit like a chain or a braid. It's a real nice stitch for outlining if you don't want just a plain back stitch. It also works really well going around a curve. And you just keep going along your line, splitting the stitch. Back up halfway through, trying to get half of the threads on each side. There we go. Continue along your line. You get to the end of your line. Oops, now you can see there, I was rushing a little bit. I didn't get through the stitches. I just kind of came out on one side of it. So I guess I could go back, put my needle through the middle, try to catch some of those other threads. There, and then go back down. And then the last stitch, I like to just come back up through the middle of the threads. And then down into that same end spot to end off the stitch. And then tie it off in the back.